Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's E-G-G-B-U-R-T, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
John, you know why today is a very important day?
It is the day after the summer solstice, and it is my half birthday.
Your half birthday?
Yeah, it's my half birthday.
Where you do you like split personality or something like that? Is that what that is?
Oh, I have more than two personalities, Brad. Come on. No, what is today?
Today's the 21st.
Yes, and what's the significance?
I don't know. Tell me.
Well, Tito Landrum wore the number 21 for the St. Louis Cardinals in 1985. You know, he's the center of that vicious controversy, that vicious urban myth about him and Tommy Herr's wife. I'm sure you've heard, but I don't know the other significance of 21.
Oh, I thought it was your half birthday. I thought you were going to explain what a half birthday was. I don't know what that meant.
No, Brad, you started the conversation by saying, do you know what today is? And I said, what is it?
Then you said it was your half birthday. Is that what
I know. What was your original point about what today is?
We've done 5 shows in a row.
We have done 5 in a row. This is the first time in 3 weeks that we've made it 5 shows in a row, Brad.
Yeah, first time in 3 weeks. Okay, I have a article that I want you to explain to me. That I read this one paragraph in this article 3 or 4 times, and it's sort of a weird story. The title of the article is Wealthy Maine Couple Accused of Killing Trees to Secure Ocean View, Poisoning Public Beaches in the Process. Do you know about this?
Love it. I read it weeks ago. Yes. And, you know, I thought of you when I read that story, Brad.
Okay.
Because we've talked about herbicides and killing trees and everything. Go
right.
ahead.
This is right up your alley. Okay. What this is 2 Maine millionaires are bickering in court over accusations that one poisoned the other's tree to score the ultimate ocean view, and that in doing so, a lethal herbicide leached into their small community's only public beach. Now, here's where it gets interesting, where it talks about Lisa Gorman, wife of the late L.L. Bean president Leon Gorman, claims that her neighbor applied herbicide to her oak trees. So imagine this. The Gormans live in front of the Bonds, okay? And they have some big oak trees which are obscuring the view of the water for the Bonds. So in other words, you can imagine like there's a sloping downhill and the Gormans are on the low side, the Bonds are on the high side, but the Gormans have these big oak trees. So the Bonds complain, or no, did I get that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Gormans are on the low side. The Bonds are on the high side. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. And it says, neighbor Amelia Bond, former CEO of St. Louis Foundation. Now, what is St. Louis Foundation? Do you know what that is?
I don't know. I know she's related to Kit Bond, though.
Well, but here's the interesting thing. Now, let me read this again. Where it goes. Hold on. Bond and her husband. Oh, you know what? They corrected it. Because yesterday when I read this article, it was different. They corrected it because they said Bond and her husband, Arthur Bond III, an architect and nephew of former St. Louis. I'll be darned, they corrected it because yesterday it said that she was that U.S. Senator Kit Bond was her aunt. And I'm going
was her uncle, you mean?
No, it said aunt. I read it over 3 times ago.
Oh, okay. So they got the word wrong. I see what you're saying.
They were thinking Kit was a woman, I guess. They were thinking that.
That's Kit, right. He is not.
Right, he's not. Because it said, I guess, hold him now. Kit Bond, did he have he's still alive, isn't he?
He is still alive. Yeah, he's getting up there in age. You know, I think he's had some health issues lately, but he's still alive.
But I thought for a minute, I thought to myself, maybe he was one of the WashU guys that had, the gender reassignment or something like that. Because
no, not at all. But get back to the herbicide piece.
Well, it's a bizarre story about apparently they admitted they did this, and the problem is that this particular herbicide has a half-life like a uranium where it never goes away, and it leached into the water. And the interesting part of this is that essentially as you read the story, the bonds are essentially saying, yeah, we did it. Yeah, we paid the fines. Yeah, BFD.
Yeah, big deal. Yeah, and the attorney, I believe, said in the coverage I read, like, they regret doing it, and it's a shame, and they're happy to put this issue to rest.
Right,
and it's like, well, that would be like Mallinckrodt saying the same thing about uranium.
Right. Or it would be like,
hey, you know what? We did it. We're sorry. Let's move on.
It would be like
we all just get along.
It would be like Putin saying, yeah, that Chernobyl power plant burnt down, but yeah, no big deal. Life goes on,
Now, this type of herbicide, I don't mean to jump the gun here, but this is the same chemical that was used by University of Alabama fans against Auburn's campus. Do you remember the story, Brad?
The article talks about that there was some famous tree that people poisoned the tree and the tree died or something like that. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess it was an iconic trees that folks at Auburn really loved. They were beloved trees, and Alabama fans found a way, or I guess one Alabama fan found a way to use this herbicide to attack the roots and cause the tree to die.
Yeah, according to there's a paragraph in the article, the herbicide at the center of the skirmish, tibithurion, can you pronounce that for me?
I don't. We never sold it. It's a Dow product.
Okay, was also used by angry Alabama football fans to avenge his team's loss by killing oak trees at rival Auburn in 2010. Okay, my thing yesterday was the story is now a non-story because it corrected the story, because I swear, and I actually screenshotted. I just went and looked at my screenshot, and yes, they did have it to the point where they said that Kit Bond was this lady's aunt. So that was
so Kit Bond, we can confirm that Kit Bond is still a man and is not a woman.
And he's still alive, right? Okay, now, someone sent me this yesterday, and I want to know if this is an old story, because are you familiar with this app called newsbreak.com? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Okay, this is something to do. I don't know exactly who this is with. This is some Newsbreak is something to do with, I think it's something to do with Apple. I don't know exactly what it is. And I have a couple friends that send me articles off of Newsbreak, and what it is, it's like an aggregation kind of site. Now, here's the source of this article was originally The Independent, not Missouri Independent, but The Independent, which, if I'm not mistaken, is an English paper. Isn't that from the UK?
Yeah, it's the UK. Yep, it's based in the UK.
It shows it was posted 9 hours ago by Gustav Killander. And the title of the article is, maybe this is on the John Combest Top 30, and we didn't talk about it because we just did the top 3. Here's the title.
Does it have to do with Kansas City, Brad?
Missouri Republican tells black Americans to kindly leave the U.S. if they don't like the country.
Oh, no. Who was this?
This was our friend Valentina Gomez.
Oh, wow. I didn't see this. And the Independent cover this? I'll look this up while we're on the air.
A Missouri Republican told black Americans to, quote, kindly leave the U.S. if they don't like the country in a message posted before the Juneteenth national holiday celebration, the end of slavery. Trump supporter Valentina Gomez has become well known for controversial and attention-grabbing stunts, such as when she told followers not to be weak and gay while running in a bulletproof vest. On Tuesday, so this is just the day, this is week, she called Juneteenth, quote, the most wretched of holidays as she argued against reparations for slavery. Gomez, who is running for Secretary of State, posted the video just days after the Trump campaign announced an effort to attract black voters as the race against Joe Biden heats up. Quote, reparations from slavery and black victimization is about to be shoved down our throats for the most wretched holiday in America, Gomez says in the video, wearing a shirt saying, don't be weak and don't be gay.
I mean, here's the thing. Put Valentina's personality to the side. She does have a point.
John said that, not me. Okay.
I mean, if love it or leave it, and if you're not dedicated to making the country better, then why not just leave?
Well, I won't take a racial standpoint in that. I'll take an immigration standpoint. You hear the people who immigrated illegally into our country. They're in New York, and they're complaining about the food they get in the hotel rooms they're getting for free. That's my problem. My problem is gather those people up and drop them. They don't like it. They don't like it here in the United States. Take them to Antarctica. You can say, okay, go hunt some polar bear and see how that tastes. See,
yeah. But this goes again to Valentina Gomez does a great job of getting attention.
Are her quote is she goes on, she says, it's outrageous to see people ask you for reparations even though they never went through slavery. These ungrateful people should be celebrating because they were born in the greatest nation to ever exist. She says, here's a tip. If you don't like America, kindly get the F out. At the end of the video, this is a video, 25-year-old who migrated to the U.S. from Colombia. Is she an official American citizen now? Do you know about that?
I don't know. I'm guessing she's a citizen. I don't know. I haven't checked her papers.
Appears in an image holding an assault rifle, dressed in military-style clothes. She's never served in the Army Forces, Newsweek noted. Gomez is facing 7 other Republicans in the 6 August primary to become the GOP nominee for Missouri Secretary of State. So far, Trump has not issued an endorsement. See, on one hand, you and I kid about this Valentina Gomez person. On one hand, she's like commanding the media. You know what I mean? I mean, she probably has as best a chance of winning the Secretary of State primary in August as I do of pitching for the Cardinals. You know what I mean? I mean, and the odds of that are
maybe. I think her odds are a little better than yours are for pitching for the Cardinals.
Well, I don't know where they've been playing. Anyway, I mean, but what's bizarre about this is, John, I have to ask you, I'm going to sneeze here for a minute. Let me hesitate for a minute. Maybe I'm not going to. Okay. I have to ask you a question, and here's what I would love to and I know we're trying to get away. We are purposely trying not be like other radio stations where we do very few interviews. The interviews we do are to the point where I like to make the interviews a little bit more fun and, not like, well, now, Mr. Smith, how exactly do you...
Yeah.
Right. How do you feel about reparations? I mean, not the serious kind of stuff. Sort of have the fun style. What's the last one we did? What was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, wasn't it? Who did we...
Well, you had Steve Ellman on. That was a great conversation.
And
he talked about picking up a chick and getting that pickup truck. Yeah, it was great. And he tapped, what's her name? Tish Tosh a little bit, too. So
right. But the idea being that was something that you and I talked about that was...
100%. We're not doing that same talking point thing. And God bless him. Jay Ashcroft can go on 5 different radio stations across the state, and all 5 hosts say, "So how's the campaign go? What are your plans as governor?" We're not doing that.
Right. So the idea being is that we have 8 people running for Secretary of State. Okay. Now, my question would be, I would love to hear if we could, let's say we could have this miracle thing where if we had a producer for the show, which we don't, and if we said, okay, on the 24th, let's pick the 24th of July. Let's pick the 24th of June, which would be Monday. On the 24th, we're going to take one segment, which runs about 18, 19 minutes. We're going to do an intro, and we're going to do like the lightning round, and I'm going to have 8 phone lines here, and we're going to start with candidate number 1. Candidate number 1, you have 60 seconds of why in the world you are running for Secretary of State. See, this is what I don't understand. And I know we've had her on the air here before, Mary Elizabeth Coleman. Man, I have trouble.
Third time's a charm. Yep.
Mary Elizabeth Coleman. Okay, she's currently a senator. Then she announces she's going to go for CD3. Then she announces she's going for Secretary of State. Okay, explain that to me. I'd love to hear her explanation of that. And the same thing like with the other guys involved. We've got Mike Carter. Let's take Mike Carter, for example. Mike Carter has a very thriving law practice in St. Charles County. He's general counsel for Car Shield. I mean, all of a sudden, if he gets elected, what's he going to do with his law practice? He's just going to say, hey, and he brags about the fact that he's a St. Louis kid, grew up in North County kid like you and I. If you read his website, I mean, interesting website, talks about how he put himself through college. He's a restaurant worker, and he drove a UPS truck and, been a real estate broker since he's been 18. All of a sudden, he's going to essentially totally change his life and move to Jefferson City and drop his law practice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Mike Carter.
Now, real quick, so let's get particular here because the particular matters. Mary Elizabeth Coleman, in every interview she's done, has explained why she went from originally running for Congress to running for Secretary of State. She's explained the impact on her family. She explained the changing dynamics of the Secretary of State's race and what happened there. and how important securing elections and keeping illegals from voting has been. And if anybody else is interested in hearing more about that, tomorrow you can go to my website, KWTO in Springfield. Wake Up Springfield has Mary Elizabeth Coleman on this morning, and I'm sure they will ask her the same question that every other radio host that moves their lips when they read asks, which is, but why are you running for Secretary of State? Why weren't you running for the Congress? And she's answered that question 20 times, and people forget or don't pay attention. And just because people aren't paying attention, Brad, doesn't mean that Mary Elizabeth Coleman hasn't explained it. So folks can go to my website tomorrow and hear for the umpteenth time a radio host ask Mary Elizabeth why she's running for Secretary of State.
No,
Go ahead, Brad.
I understand what you're saying, John, and I would never ask that question. I would ask her what kind of water did she try to serve the protesters out in front. That would
and they're called Topo Chico, which, by the way, I saw in the clearance aisle at my local Deerbergs the other day, which tells me maybe it's not so good, Brad. Maybe she was being bamboozled. It's no clearly Canadian.
I love
but
that.
Brad, I get your point about the Secretary of State's candidates. And going back to, and I interrupted you, I think you were making a point about Valentina Gomez. But if she can break through the clutter, you just have so many candidates running not just for Secretary of State, but statewide. And if you go out there and you talk about, and my plans for Secretary of State are to have free and fair elections, nobody cares. It's wallpaper. It's just noise. So put on a military vest, go for a jog, be pretty, and people might vote for you.
But see, I think now I'm going to say something that because Dean Plocker's in there as well too, and I saw something the other day. Why does Dean want to be Secretary of State? And he pontificates why I would be a great. I'm thinking to myself, I am so tired of because here's the interesting thing. If you took all 8 candidates, including Valentina Gomez, and you stuck them in a chair, and you had a doctor each give them a shot of sodium pentothal, so they had to tell the absolute truth, and then you ask them why you running for Secretary of State, you know what the answers would be? I'm power.
Because there's nothing else to run for.
Right. They would say, like, I'm power hungry and I want to have a statewide job and I want to be able to put on my resume that I was a statewide elected official.
Yeah, I get it.
And although I will never admit that publicly, but I want it to be. I want it to be a stepping stone to a more important job. Like, look at Jay Ashcroft. Look what he's doing. If he's running for governor, that's the only reason. I don't really care about the Secretary of State's office. I think what they do is boring and mundane. I would never want to. Matter of fact, I'd probably spend most of my time out of the office. I just want to be a state official, a high-ranking state official, and that's all I really want. And by the way, does it come with a car? If it comes with a car, I'm really happy. And by the way, will they swat me every once in a while? I think that would be cool to have the police show up and swat me.
Why does Jay get all the swatting? Now, to be fair, I think there are some candidates for whom your description applies. I do think there are candidates who I think there are multiple candidates who are actually genuinely interested in serving as Secretary of State, Brad.
But what do they do? I mean, let's be honest.
They administer our elections in an environment in which in other states we see a lot of election shenanigans, in which we see illegals attempting to vote. I think it's critically important that we have a good Secretary of State, and we are blessed as Republicans, Brad. And yes, I'm a partisan here, but we have really good candidates for Secretary of State.
Has Jay Ashcroft ever grabbed some illegal scofflaw, by the neck who's trying to vote and go, buddy, I caught you? No, he's never done that.
Well, he hasn't yet, but because Jay can't run. I mean, he can't catch anybody.
No, what I'm saying is he's the current Secretary of State. Has he nabbed an illegal who's trying to vote in a previous election? Let's say we had the municipal election in April. He swoops into Wentzville and he goes, whoa, that guy, he's illegal. I'm going to grab him by the nape of his neck because of the fact that I know he's not registered to vote in the state of Missouri. And here he's trying to cast a ballot for the Wentzville School Board. We're going to throw him in jail. Has Jay ever done that?
I don't know any cases in which Jay has grabbed anybody by the nape of the neck and caught them attempting to vote illegally. No.
So you made my point.
I did. And because you're gracious, you ignored my fat joke about Jay Ashcroft. So thank you, Brad. You're not willing to pile on, Joe.
I'm not. Okay. We have to take a break. Who the hell listens to this show anyway, John? Who do you think does?
I don't know, but people on a certain campaign aren't going to be happy after this segment. Go ahead.
What campaign is that?
Go ahead.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?